Hello. So I'm coming on here actually because I was watching Queen Cup. I was watching her recent video she posted on Monday. And she's a reader that I've been watching now for, I don't know, maybe a year. It could be even under a year, but it feels like it's been a very long time. And I really, really admire her. She's an incredible um, reader. She's very gifted and she's really great at what she does. Though I think one of the most fabulous things about her is her vulnerability and her authenticity. She is, it seems like it's impossible for her to not be herself. Though, of course, I'm not her. I don't know her experiences. Um, but she radiates authenticity and vulnerability in a way that is really, really impressive and very brave and very inspiring and magical and truly a sign of balance, especially with her shadow. And I'm coming on here today because I was watching a reading of hers, and it's funny because I've, for as long as I can remember, maybe I didn't do it when I was younger, though I feel like I did. I've always had an anger within me, and it's always resulted in like made up fictional moments that I act out in my head where I'm arguing with somebody or I'm about to fight somebody or I'm telling somebody off. There's always like a fight breaking out in my head. At least once a day there's some type of um, energy clashing, any friction. There's some type of friction, some clashing energy that I'm playing out. It's like I'm role playing or something. And I do it, I guess, to kind of release some type of energy. It usually comes from nowhere, out of nowhere. And there's no one who's done anything to me. I'm triggered. I trigger myself and then I move on. And it's become like a thing. I just do it. So I was doing it again this morning, not even really thinking about it. And then I went on with my day. And then I came back to watch Queen Cup because I saw her video, I think 2 days ago. And I was like, okay, let me, and it's been on my mind ever since to watch it. And I was watching it. And then in the middle of it, she unexpectedly broke out into this. She went and defended herself against this woman who was trolling her and being really rude and came with a very nasty assault against her and her character. And she read the woman for filth. And then, but afterwards, she was explaining in herself, and I could just feel this energy of apology, which I did not feel like she needed to do. And it brought me to thinking about this energy of rage again. And I received a reading randomly. It was a random story, but I received a reading from this woman, and she's telling me that there's this anger within you. There's this rage, and you don't let it out. You don't express it. You don't let it be seen. You don't let it be heard. And I've always known that to be true, but because I don't know where it comes from, I really struggle to feel valid expressing it. And I also just don't know how. Like, I would imagine screaming would be really nice, but I've always lived in cities, so I've never felt comfortable to scream. And even while I'm out here, I don't, like, I feel like I would need to be alone to do that. And that is really the only way that I would know how to get that out. Maybe like dancing, maybe, but I don't know how to release an incredible amount of rage beyond my little small random spurts of fictional fights in my head. And writing doesn't really help. Maybe movement, but that's not a release of the rage, because it's not intentionally focused around that. And maybe I could do that, but I struggle. Anyways, I've struggled with this, figuring out how to release rage. And watching Queen Cup go off, and kind of pretty much every time I watch her go off, at the beginning it used to be triggering for me. But I've realized, and I think today really solidified, that's only because it's something I wish I could do. I wish, like the way that she is so fiercely protective of herself, to the point where she goes after somebody and tells them exactly what they are, is very inspiring. And I was thinking about the way that so many of us are told to exist, especially within these like healing communities, and they're not very healing at all. They're actually incredibly restrictive, where they're teaching you to be the higher version of yourself, or be the better person, go high when they go low, don't respond, don't give in. All of that feels like victim blaming. And all of that feels like telling somebody to go numb. You are a human being. Yes, you're a soul, but you are a human being. And we have a full range of emotions that we are supposed to experience. You are supposed to experience rage, and you're supposed to let it out. You're not supposed to hold it within you and swallow it and transmute it to love. That's not how the transmutation works. It doesn't just work from within you. You have to let it out. Transmuting something, alchemy, it's a collaborative process. And you can do inner alchemy, but with things like rage, with things like with pain, especially when you're being engaged with, when this is something where you are being attacked, you need to respond, because you need to give that energy back, because it was never yours to begin with. It's self-defense, it's protection, but so many of us don't. And I think that there's a specific shame around this when it comes to Black women. And I think that there's a very specific shame around it when it comes to Black women who are from the diaspora, who have ancestors who have survived, slavery. Because, think about all the experiences where you are punished for fighting back. Think about all the experiences where you are told to go numb. Think about all the experiences where you are told to be quiet. Like that rage and that anger and the feeling of being triggered when you are being attacked and then being told to be above it is a weapon again that has been used against Black women. It's been used against us when we are experiencing assaults of every kind. It's been used against us when you're having your children taken from you. It's being used against us when we are having our bodies be used as an object, as machinery, to build entire nations and then move on. It's being used against us when you are watching your entire community, your entire people, your entire families, your entire generations, your entire lineage be used as a machine and be dehumanized, and literally watching your soul basically leave your body, because that's all that can be done at that point, because there's so much numbness. And the idea of even trying to understand how to break out of that, or how to balance, it takes incredible work that is very hard to call on. Incredible amounts of power that are very hard to call on. And there's so much shame about all that you weren't able to do, all that you didn't do, all while trying to survive and persist. And those pains and those experiences continue with us. Of course they do. And it's funny because in that video she was talking about slavery, and I feel like this shame that we have around our shadow, so much of that narrative was built up, is built up and consistently was used and is still used. The shame against the shadow is a weapon that's used against so many of us, so many oppressed people. But specifically speaking about Black women, because Des is a Black woman and I'm a Black woman, and I recognize that. I feel it very deeply. And we use it, and we have it used against us by our own communities, but by other people too, and by systems as well. And then there's the gaslighting and that was just super, it just kind of was heartbreaking to see her feel like she had to apologize for defending herself. And it was just making me think about myself and why I have these random, like almost every day, just these random, and I know it's not just me. I've like seen people talk about this experience before. So I know it's very common, but that's not super, I'm not sure that's super healthy. I think that we're probably supposed to be able to express our anger, but there is so much rage that goes unaddressed. And it's not just because, and it's also because we're now carrying rage against entire systems where the one person you could talk to isn't there. Like, it's a system, it's a corporation, it's a pattern, it's a way of life. If you're carrying things from past lives, the people that you need to confront and address, they don't exist. I mean, they do exist maybe, but they're in another body, you wouldn't know. Or maybe you do know, but you don't really know, So nothing is clear cut. And there's all these disconnections, and there needs to be a way for us to release our pain. And I was originally coming on here to be like, you deserve, if somebody's attacking you, like, you get to defend yourself. Do you need to attack them back the same way they're attacking you? Not if you don't want to, but you do deserve to defend yourself. And there should be no shame around that. We're not sitting here allowing ourselves to be trampled, allowing ourselves to be bullied, and just taking it on the chin. That is not what you should have to do. You don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. And I don't, especially as healers, as more Black women feel comfortable coming forward and expressing their truth as a healer and knowing that they are a healer, I really don't want us to get pushed into a space where we feel like we just have to take it when people abuse us, because that's very triggering, and that is an old cycle that I don't want to be reignited within us, to create a whole new generational shit that our descendants are gonna have to heal 3,000 generations from now. Like, no, because our ancestresses did the work. They survived so much. We survived so much. We are them in so many expressions. But if you wanna look at us as separate, they did so much to make sure that we would be able to get to the space where we did not have to just take it. And it's super serious. Like, when you're angry, when you're triggered, let it happen. Let it come out. When somebody hurts you, let yourself be angry about it. And if you need to say something, say it. This energy of, keeping it to yourself and moving on, I don't know about that. I really don't, because if there's one thing that I've learned since I started this spiritual journey, it's that or this phase of my spiritual journey, this phase of awakening, it's that you need to say what you need to say. You need to say it. It's not enough for you to just know it and then move on. You have to say it. If you know that you've done something wrong, you have to say it. If you know you need to apologize, you need to say it. If you know that you need to leave a relationship, you need to say it. Don't ghost people. You need to say it. Give your explanation. But you need to express yourself. You need to use your words. You need to put it out there. It's very important. And as we're asking for protection to be manifested over the Black community, over Black women, protect Black women, all this, well, then Black women need to feel safe to protect themselves by defending themselves. Who cares if you get called the angry Black woman? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Because at this point, the way that our shadows come up and defend us, that is the manifestation of protection from the universe that we're asking for. People are not allowed to just come in and walk all over us and try to literally destroy us with their energy, try to literally kill us with their energy, and then move on. No, you don't get to do that. No, you don't get to do that. I'm giving you this energy right back. It does not belong to me. And you give it back to the person or to the system or to this way of life, maybe even to your own shadow. Maybe it's your shadow attacking you. You give it back however you want to give it back, but give it back. Don't keep it and then try and heal it and transmute it and make it your own thing. This isn't your thing. We take on too much, we carry too much, and then we feel shit about it. And we feel shit about how we handled things, and we feel shit about, and it wasn't even ours. But look at us already taking on people's shit and healing it for them and finding a way to process it into a deeper problem about ourselves that we need to work on. Like, fuck that. There's been so much work. We've done so much work. It's like, it's ridiculous. And yeah, there's like this rage that needs to be released. There's a rage that needs to be released. I know it's within me, and I'm like, how am I gonna get it out? I really don't. I don't know. Like, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to kind of see if the answer will come up for me, because I don't know. I really don't know how I'm going to get this out. I would love to like hold a space where like we all I would really want to be with Black women, specifically Black women of the diaspora who have that experience with their ancestors, just because it's it's a community, and I think we could all use it. I think there's rage within all of us that could be expressed. I mean, if you've been alive like one day, there's probably enough rage for you that you need to get out. But I would love that. If anybody has any recommendations, I know that there's like a rage room where you can go and you can break things and all of that, and that would be nice. Like, I'm just like anything, anything. But yeah, at this point it's like bubbling. Like, I know it's an issue for me, and seeing that happen to Queen Cup was so hard, because it was like, oh, like I wish I could have been there in that moment, just to be like, there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything wrong. Your reaction, there was nothing wrong. Like that was deserved. That was earned. How you reacted was earned. Like, all the shame around the way that we exist, it's so unfair. And I get it, because it's ultimately going to make us stronger. And she was talking about in that video how the things that you go through now prepare you for the darkness that's ahead, because the bigger the light, the bigger the dark. And darkness is not all bad. I always talk about this, but the beginning of this phase of my spiritual journey was all about how we need to change our relationship with darkness. There's nothing wrong with darkness. And there isn't. And the reason why darkness exists the way it does is because it's been weaponized against people to make them feel ashamed of their own darkness. And so now we're like, oh, darkness is bad. Darkness is here to protect us. Darkness is the womb. Darkness is the womb state. It's like somebody telling you that it's bad to be in a womb. It's like a doctor trying to tell you that it's bad for you to keep your baby in your womb, and you need to actually go put them in an incubator outside of your womb. Like, that's what it's like. That's what it's like when people are like, you should not have darkness within you. What? Or when they're like, you shouldn't express your darkness. That's like a doctor being like, the only way to give birth now is through C-sections. That's the best way. And it's no longer good. You should not be giving birth like vaginally. Like, that's not healthy. Women shouldn't do that anymore. That's how much it doesn't make sense. The way that we talk about darkness. It just doesn't make sense. It's so illogical. But and those are the systems that we're up against. But I really don't want that for us, and especially as healers. And I know we're gonna go through things because we're all still on our own journeys, and once again, we're human beings. But it made me think about, I was thinking about mentioning this earlier, but I forgot. I went on to ramble about other things. But I remember there's a part of this spiritual journey where I was talking a lot about the soul body. When I would look at things, sometimes when I would look at my feet when I was in the shower, I would see my light body. It would be kind of outside of my body though, like a little bit outside. And sometimes when I look around a room, I can see like the shadows and like the dimensions that they create. And sometimes I see light shadows and sometimes I see dark shadows. And I was talking a lot about how I feel like I was talking a lot about how the souls as an entire species, because we are different from our souls. Once you come onto this earth, you're an incarnating being and you also have a soul. So Zanala, me, is different from my soul. My soul is a whole other being and I am my soul. But I'm also distinct. And when I die, I'm going to become an ancestor and I'll be connected to my soul, but I'm going to be an ancestor and my soul will go on to do whatever it does. And I'm going to be Zanala, the ancestor, still also my soul, but still distinct. It's an individual experience. And part of the reason why Earth is such an incredible place and why there's so much magic here, and also it's so deeply misunderstood and can be very easily abused, is our connection to the physical, is our connection to lower realms. I mean, we're only the 3D, you know, who knows how many dimensions there are, but we're 3D. So we're not that far up from the bottom. And that's a very special thing. And look at how incredible this planet is because we're in the 3D. There's nothing wrong with the 3D. There's nothing wrong with 2D. There's nothing wrong with 1D. Nothing wrong with 0D. I don't even know. I don't know anything about all the dimensions. Well, maybe I do, but just not in the language that we use. But there's nothing wrong with the 3D. And one of the gifts of being a human being is getting to experience being in a body. It's getting to experience emotion. It's getting to experience the range of feeling. And one of the things that souls are trying to get back is the ability to feel. It's the ability to understand that what you sense you're experiencing, you are experiencing, and allowing that to be valid. And a lot of souls are here on Earth also looking for their bodies. There are souls here whose one of their primary reasons for coming back here is so they can find their body, because they came in previous lifetimes. And as you were ascending, this narrative of, it's not just here on Earth that we have this narrative of, you know, you go high, you need to ascend higher and higher and higher, and, you know, don't engage with the low vibrations. That's not just a narrative here on Earth. That's a narrative in the soul realm, in the spiritual realm. The spiritual world is not perfect. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. I always tell my sisters how I'm going to spiritual court. In this lifetime, me as the incarnating being, I will be going to spiritual court. I will be advocating for changes in the foundational laws of the universe. And that's not an attack against the universe, because I love the universe. And I think that she's overworked, and I think that she's exhausted, and I think she's ready for a death and a rebirth, to be completely honest. But I haven't thought too much into that, so don't take me serious, but, you know, maybe do take me serious. But yeah, I am going to spiritual court because I think that incarnating beings are abused, and I think that Earth is abused, and I think that our ancestors and our spirit guides are overworked. I think that souls themselves are overworked. I think everyone's overworked. I think everything's overworked. And I think that there's some foundational things that need to change. And change is good. You know, there's nothing wrong with change. Do I know exactly where we need to go? No. But do I think things need to change? Yes. But what was I saying? That the whole idea of needing to ascend, and ascension being attributed to and connected to going higher and leaving the lower vibrations, and separating light from darkness, and separating your shadow from your light, and you being connected to your light, and you being the light, but you somehow not being your shadow, and your shadow being separate from you. All of that is a problem in the soul realm. It's this problem with souls beyond us. Even if the incarnating being never existed, if I wasn't here and it was just my soul speaking to you, that's a problem they're dealing with. And old souls know this because they've had to go back and recollect themselves and realize, oh wait, I need my body. Souls are not, I don't think that souls are just these formless creatures that blah 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 blah. I think souls have forms just like anything else. What that means, who knows? Very complex, very complicated, I'm sure. It's just like you can't even imagine what it's like. My dad loves this quote, or maybe I love this quote because my dad says it. But there's this part in the Bible where they're like, the angels like, you couldn't pronounce my name if I told you. And that's kind of what it is with the idea of being physical. The idea of physicalness in this realm could be very different for what it means in the soul realm. So the idea of having a body in this realm could be different for what it means in the soul realm, but it doesn't mean they don't have a body. It doesn't mean that the physical doesn't exist. It just could be understood in a different way. What way? I don't know. But they still have bodies. They still have physical. And the movement away from that has left so many souls completely disengaged, completely detached, disassociated. And there's so many souls without themselves. And a lot of that energy is here on Earth. Earth is deeply, deeply congested with so much energy that has no home because their hosts, their bodies, their partners, their collaborators, the soul has left them behind to ascend. And in that process, you have all these different energies, all these different bodies, pieces of a soul, just like stuck with nowhere to go. And so naturally, taking on an energy of abandonment and anger and confusion and lostness. And that translates into a whole host of things and energies that we all take on, because I think everyone on earth is an empath, not even intentionally, but I think by force at this point. And that's where you start to realize that spiritual gifts they're gifts, but they are what one of my other spiritual teachers that I also have a crush on, Mathix Malangu, he was talking about spiritual gift isn't really a gift, it's just your soul. So it's their body. And yeah, I think that being an empath is one of those things that's just become a thing because we're all feeling all these different bodies that have been left behind, that have been disengaged. It's like, it's kind of gross to think about it this way, but it's like mutilation. And it's like, instead of it just lying there, it becomes a part of you. So now you're taking on these gifts that aren't really yours, you know? And like, you have your own experiences, you have your own gifts, because you have your own soul that you're working with, you're collaborating with. But we're also engaging with all of these other lost pieces of other lost souls who are without themselves. And this is not, the soul's fault. I don't know where this narrative began, to be completely honest with you. I think it must have, I don't know, to be honest. I haven't really ever thought that through about like where this began, why this is such a problem in the soul realm. I do think part of the problem is, which is what I spoke about this pretty early on, and I haven't gotten back to it in a while, but I felt this energy around not really enjoying the phrase, energy doesn't die, or energy cannot die. And I've been more recently talking about the fact that like, it's always death rebirth and never like death finalized, which is something I spoke about earlier, is a problem. And it's just, I think it's this association of negativity with darkness, where a lot of this comes from. And I don't know who came up with this understanding that energy doesn't die. I don't know who came up with that. I don't know who the first one was. I don't know what soul decided that. I don't know, maybe it was a group of souls, maybe it was a planet, I don't know. Because like, I'm not even like, and even the hierarchies, I'm not a huge fan of those either. And it's only because because what do you attach to a hierarchy? You attach value, and I just don't know if we should be placing value different levels of value. That just doesn't seem super smart. It just seems very dangerous. And I'm just witnessing that with what I just think our ancestors are completely depleted and yet have to keep coming back to life to help us, to help themselves, to help the future generations, to help our earth to heal. But no one's really healing because everybody's empty, everybody's drained, everybody's exhausted. It's like there's no rest, you know? And so naturally you begin to get angry. It's like when you're hungry and you haven't eaten in a while, or when you haven't slept in a while, and you go through so many phases. You go through like being exhausted, but then you get like a rush of energy, then you get really angry, then you like just start to disassociate, then like nothing even matters and you're barely human, and it just doesn't work. And there's just been so much abuse of the things that we are supposed to be able to be freely, naturally, that we're now made to feel shame for. And all of these things that are so unique and beautiful about Earth. You know what's so unique and beautiful about Earth? Earth is an authentic expression of spirit. Earth is very authentic. Earth is very true to the root of all. Earth is very honest. Earth is very genuinely expressed. And that's because Earth holds all these energies and allows them to all be. And I think Earth is a shining example for a lot of the cosmos, and what is possible when you allow all to be, when you allow balance to truly, truly exist, and you don't have shame. And I think that's why there's nowhere like Earth. There's nothing like Earth. You have not been able to find a single thing like Earth. And my sister was telling me about this feeling that some astronauts get when they go out into outer space. And it's this feeling of grief and regret and sorrow for the ways that we treat the planet, because you look at Earth and you look all around and you're like, holy fuck. Like, look at where we get to live. Look at what we get to experience, what we get to call our home compared to the rest of outer space. And that's not to say that outer space isn't magical in its own ways, but Earth is very, very special. Earth is very, very, very special. I will never, ever, ever, ever be ashamed to be an Earth being. I will never feel weird about being here on Earth or being from Earth or anything like that. And I don't like that narrative either. And I know that people don't mean it that way. I'm just being defensive because I really do love this planet, and I know that I know that she's not being honored in the way that she should be, and it's very hard because I know that I also probably do not. I know that I don't do everything that I could and everything that I should, and it's painful. It's hard. It's like knowing, it's like, you know, when you're like in your 20s and you've stopped being like an asshole to your mom, and you look back and you're like, why did I do that? If you had like a nice mom, and you just feel regret. That's what I feel like so often when I think about the Earth, and it's not even like intentional ways of violating, but it's just, you know, you just always wish you could do more. But what am I talking about? Yeah, this feeling of being, it's about feeling safe in terms of getting to defend yourself and not feeling shame for your shadow. Your shadow is here to make you feel safe just as much as the light is. Your shadow is here to provide you with balance and encouragement and protection just as much as the light is. And the thing about it is, it's the same way the shadow is treated, the same way the incarnating being is treated. And this is exactly why I've been saying that this entire era on Earth right now is about self-love. And that's why we're all doing shadow work and we're all trying to heal the shadow. But we need to make sure that as we're healing the shadow, we're appreciating the shadow, and not appreciating and then being like, okay, but I move on to the light, but appreciating and carrying the shadow with us and being like, and talking to that part of ourselves and loving that part of ourselves. It's the same way we treat the mind. You become spiritual and then suddenly your mind is like an evil place and like you should never want to be in your mind. It's the same way that I don't really like that narrative around the voice. Yeah, the voice can be a jerk. The voice can be an asshole. But it's not that way for no reason. And that the voice isn't usually like that. Or actually, I'll speak for myself. I've had a very, very, very tough inner voice. A very, very, very critical, a very mean, a very judgmental, a very, could even say abusive inner voice. And it's taken the time that it's taken to get to where we are at now. But things are wildly different. And part of what has moved me into such a healthier space and more loving space with myself, and therefore the voice and my shadow and all of that, is the lack of shame and pressure to escape these parts of myself and to push them away and to, let them go, rather than allowing them to be and understanding and hearing them and taking accountability for the ways that I forced things to be that way, or the way that this world made things have to be that way. Not this world, like our earth, but the systems that we're working within. And realizing it's not really the voice's fault. We're dealing with quite a bit. It's okay to acknowledge that you are affected by the systems that you're dealing with. It's okay to acknowledge that these spells that they have are powerful, that whoever these souls were that were doing whatever shit they were doing, it worked. And it's very, very strong. It's very, very powerful. And it's not super easy to break out of. It's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to acknowledge that, in the power of your own, it's okay to acknowledge that it's going to take a little bit more than that. And it's going to take a bit of time. That's fine to say. There's no shame in that. It doesn't make you weak. Or if it does make you weak, there's nothing wrong with being weak. But where was I going? All of these things are meant to make you feel safe. That's what I was saying. And your mind, that voice, your shadow, all of these things are good things. Oh my God. Yeah, the shadow is treated the same way the incarnating being is treated in the spiritual realm. And that's not to say that it's intentional or that it's people are, purposefully bullying the shadow, purposely bullying the incarnating being. You just take the weight because you're basically the messenger. You're the medium. The shadow is the medium. When we get down here to earth, I'm not convinced, but one of the theories that I have is when you get down here to earth, but unless you're here, you do not remember. You do not understand fully. The same way once you die, the same way once you get here, you don't remember your past lives completely. You can go to the Akashic realms and remember, but do you really ever remember? Probably not to the complete fullness, because you're not that person. That person is an ancestor doing some other shit somewhere else, trying to help their family line, or maybe they're one of your ancestors, and so they're here, but they're guiding you because no, you don't fully understand. I could have been I could have had a past life in slavery. I will still never sit here and pretend like I fully understand what that experience was like, because that would be disrespectful. No, I don't. I'm not there now. I did not experience it as Xanalat. I don't know. I will not know. That's why it's bullshit when someone who has a different background is like, oh, well, I was this, so I get it. You don't get it. You couldn't possibly. The being alive in the moment is a very specific experience. Being one specific person is a very specific experience. You cannot understand unless you are that person or you are in that experience. So being a soul and coming down and getting prepared to come down here, I don't really believe that it's fully possible to understand exactly what it's going to be like, no matter how many times you've done it. You get it. You get that it's going to be difficult. You get that you're going to go through these things. You may read your entire chart and know every nuance about everything that's going to happen, know all the plans. You still will not understand. because Earth is a very special place. And that whole feeling part of it all, that whole being in the moment and really engaging with your environment part of it all is unique. And it changes everything. It's like reading a book versus going and doing the thing. It's completely different. And so, and that's also to say, I'm not sure. I mean, I think the souls that were coming in during these past few lifetimes, these past few generations, are understanding that we're entering a peak, a very intense time. It's giving the same as the Romans, though I don't know if it was, I don't remember what that part was like, but I don't want to. But yeah, we're in hard times. There's a lot of energy here. It's a lot to deal with all the time. But yeah, so once your soul comes down here, some souls are wide awake from the very beginning. And usually in kids, you're pretty awake, Like I remember there's been a few times, it's never been on purpose, but like where I've been called to like come over or babysit or just see my nephews, but I was high and I didn't mean to. It just happened to slide into the same time period. And the way my nephews are they're just so alive. And not both as an incarnating being, but mostly as a soul. And when you're high and you're around kids, if you're around kids that haven't already had their spirit stomped out, unfortunately, for those kids, unfortunate. But yeah, if you're around kids that haven't already had their spirit stomped out and you're high, you'll see kids, you'll know that their soul is very much so awake during that time. And then you see the shift, because the more that you come into consciousness, the more that you come into this self-awareness, the more you begin to really engage with what you've decided to be a part of. And you have to learn about what it is to be in this world, to then go ahead and decide to be in balance with your soul enough to have your soul be alive and have you still be alive. And the people that can maintain that aliveness the whole way through congratulations. That's a beautiful way to exist. And I'm actually very happy for you. But for a lot of us, you're pretty alive in your really early childhood. And then, even as a kid, it starts to go, and then teens, and then 20s. And yeah, here I am now. But your soul goes away. And for one, I think your soul is going away because it's going searching. It's going to also do the things that it needs to do while it's down here, different from you. You're an incarnating being. You have free will. You decide. You make decisions on your own. You choose. You're affected by your family. You're talking with your ancestors. That's why your ancestors are your best friends and your biggest advocates, because they understand that you're not just a soul. You're a human. You're an incarnating being. Your experience is different from your soul's experience. Your soul is having a different experience of this life right now than you are. Very different. Ancestors know that. And so they're here to kind of be that medium space. That's why ancestors, incarnating beings, darkness, shadows, low vibrations, we all take on the brunt of the work. We all take on the shit because we're the mediums. And it's very hard to be in that space. Everybody wants to throw their shit on us. And it's not intentional. I don't think it's intentional. It's just what happens. It's just what happens when you need other people. When you're needed, you get shit thrown on you. That's just what happens. Because you can't have the high vibrations without the low vibrations. So of course, now in order to validate the experience of the high vibrations being high, the low vibrations must be shit. Why? Because we always have to have a reason. There always needs to be some type of validity. There always needs to be some type of meaning. Why? I don't know. And where that comes from, I don't know. Well, actually, I think that comes from, and I actually think it comes from a loving space, because I think the universe is very loving. She's under a lot of pressure. Like, it's a lot of work, but the universe is very loving. And so where that comes from, the meaning and all that comes from a space of not wanting to be alone, of wanting to be connected, of wanting there to be more, of desiring more, of desiring deeper connection, deeper roots, deeper insight, of desiring more. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. That's why we're also trying to fix this relationship between scarcity and abundance and all that, because there's nothing wrong with wanting more for yourself. That was the first lesson that the universe got to learn. That's the first lesson that nothingness got to learn. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to just be nothingness, wanting to have more. If you can accept that you are nothingness and love that experience of yourself, then now you get to experience just how abundant nothingness is. That's why with the whole scarcity mindset thing, like, yeah, but also no, because scarcity is where creation grows. Scarcity is where abundance comes from. Scarcity it's the womb. Scarcity is darkness. All these things that, get the negative connotation, those are the magical places. That's the magic. That's where it is. It's a beautiful thing. And what was I talking about? I was talking about defending yourself. You deserve to defend yourself. I just keep going all over the place. I'm sorry. I know that at some point I was talking about the way that incarnating beings are. That's why I'm going to court. I'm going to court in advocacy for the incarnating being. Do I know what I'm going to say? No. I have no idea what I'm going to say. Do I know who I'm accusing? No. I don't even know if I'm accusing anyone. I don't think I'm accusing anything. I think I'm just going as like a lawyer to be like, okay, can we change up some things? I think I'm just, it's not even that I'm going to court. I'm holding a town hall with all that is and ever will be and ever has been and ever shall be. And I'm just going to ask if we can change some of the foundational rules. I'm not going to do this on my own. I would love to have other people's input. I don't think that I know everything, but I would just like to ask if we can change some of the rules, the structures, some of the ways that all of this is playing out, and do something a little different. That's just what I want to ask. It's just a question, and hopefully I can do that in this lifetime, because I don't know, I'm just a little worried. Like, I don't want to wait until I'm an ancestor, because I think that incarnating beings need a stronger way to advocate for themselves while they're alive in their current experience. That's just what I want. But in order to do that, you also have to acknowledge how much work and pressure and stress our damn great mother is under. Like, she needs a break. And I think that the universe is also learning about self-love right now. I think I spoke about this because when I was this time last year, but not this time, like in May or April, I was getting all these downloads. It was actually a very special time. I was jobless, just living with my dad, and I was doing literally nothing but getting a bunch of downloads and writing and going to the park like every single day. And it was a really great time, even though at the time I was like, but it ended up, looking back, hindsight, I'm very glad that I had that experience, because it completely changed just how much I understood, but still don't understand. But it brought me closer to myself and to the universe, to spirit, to my ancestors, to spirit guides, to everything. And it's made life more beautiful. But at that time, I really wouldn't have known that. And that's the thing, you don't know that you're in the dark place. But that's why darkness is so special. That's why darkness is so beautiful. And all I really want is for darkness to just get a little more love. I think that's maybe just what I want. I think all this anger just really comes from a place of wanting darkness to be honored a little bit more. And maybe that's because I wish that I had done that more. I wish that I could have done this more. And throughout all of my many lives, wish I would have honored darkness more. As a soul, wish I would have honored darkness more. And now in this life, I really want that to be a thing. And part of honoring darkness is honoring your ancestors. Part of honoring darkness is honoring women. It's honoring the feminine energy. It's honoring scarcity. It's honoring the low vibrations. It's honoring Black people. It's honoring the shit that gets everything thrown on it. And I just want to honor darkness a little bit more and give more gratitude, because we don't see all the gifts that it provides until like way later, way later. You know, it's like, you know, the gift that comes with being alive. You know, the gift of being in a womb and being born as a soul. You understand how precious that is. You understand how incredibly valuable that is. And that's exactly why, like, your rights as a woman, as a person who gives birth, to say whether you want to do this or not, so important. And that abortion rights and the right to control what happens with your body and children, one of the main things that gives incarnating beings power. That's one of our strongest voices that we have to the spiritual realm. And I think that that was a gift directly from darkness. The same way I believe that menopause is a gift directly from the goddesses. Because it's like, you don't get full access to us to come in whenever you fucking want and leave whenever you want. No. If you want to be here, it's for us to decide, and our bodies get to say when there's no more coming in and out and all that shit. I think that that's why, you know, women are so important, or people with you know, wombs, with that experience, that physical experience, are so important. Because right now we have one of the strongest voices of advocacy for the incarnating being in the spiritual realm, because we have boundaries, just how much access. And I actually think that the masculine maybe needs to get more boundaries and more protection too, because, you know, shit just be going everywhere. And, you know, is there any protection for all that energy that's being wasted? I don't know. And everyone's deserving of protection. So that's the thing too. But what was I talking about? But yeah, abortion and all that, it's really important. I'm never gonna be against abortion, because it's important. We need that, and we need more things that put incarnating beings in a position of power to make sure that they get to decide, and they get to have a voice in terms of their relationship with the spiritual realm, because we are spiritual too. You know, our souls are spiritual, but as an incarnating being, you're spiritual too. You're pure magic. You're made from the earth. You are an earth being. Your soul might not be, but you're an earth being. Me, I'm an earth being. I was born here on this planet, and I'm very, very happy to be an earth being. My soul, I don't think is, and I'm so happy for wherever my soul is from. But me, I'm an earth being. This is my mom. I was born here. This is my planet. Okay, and I'm a spiritual being, because Earth is one of the most, well, I was saying before, and I don't know if this is actually true, but it's my truth. That Earth is one of the most pure expressions of spirit, one of the most pure expressions of the universe. And that's exactly why she's dying right now, because spirit is on the edge, the universe on the edge, exhausted, overworked, abused, broken down. And it's really just a problem of self-love, because self-love would be, you know what? I don't need to continue to expand at this rate anymore. I don't need to continue to experience life in this way, and this way, and this way anymore. What I need is a break. What I want to experience is my own darkness. What I want to experience is my own death state. That's what I want to experience. Why? Because what is there to be afraid of? It's me. It's who I am. Why am I afraid to go into my own death state? It's me. I'm just going into another part of myself. What makes me afraid of myself? Because I'm powerful? Am I afraid to know my own power? That's the questions that the universe is starting to ask herself. And, you know, I think we all have to let it be. Sacrifices will be made. You know, who knows? Maybe none of us will exist anymore. And I don't even mean as incarnating beings. Maybe all our souls gone, blitz, like a black hole. But it is what it is. And if it happens, there's nothing we can do about it anyways. But don't we want the universe to catch a break? I feel like this era, this season, this lifetime for me, and maybe for you too, or maybe this generation, is also about appreciating your mom. It's also about appreciating your mom. And if your mom was a horrible person, then like obviously don't take this to heart, you know. This is me speaking. I'm just speaking from my personal thoughts right now, and I'm not able to address all the nuances. So, you know, this is not me telling you to go give your mom a hug if she was horrible and abusive. But this is right now about appreciating and understanding just what it takes to be a mother, just what it takes to hold life within you and then give life constantly and provide and let go, be told to let go of what you've just given to the world and move on and suddenly become this and suddenly become that, but then wait, come back, and like all of these things. It is an incredible feat to be a mother in whatever way that you are a mother. And the mother energy exists within all of us, no matter how you identify. The mother energy exists within all of us. So this whole era is about honoring the mother like mothers. It's about honoring the feminine. It's about honoring our earth. It's about honoring our universe. It's about honoring creative energy. But it's also about honoring the fact that the mother spirit is something that exists within all of us, because darkness exists within all of us. So it's about honoring that part of yourself that you know does literally all this fucking work, does all this work for you, does so much, gives so much, and yet there seems to be a problem. What's the problem? Why is it so hard to acknowledge where you come from? Why is there such shame attached to acknowledging where you come from, acknowledging your origin, acknowledging your ancestors? What makes you feel resistance against that? Why are we so defensive about that? What planted the seed that made us feel like there was something wrong with that? What made us feel like we should not want to be connected to that? Like it would make us less than? Where does that come from? Because that's the problem. Where did that come from? Who decided that? I need to understand. And it sounds like at the highest level, it sounds like self-hate. It sounds like self-hate at the highest level, and shame of yourself and your own power and what you were able to create. And sometimes this feels like me talking to the universe, because it's like, why are you so ashamed of yourself? You know, why are you so ashamed of your own magnitudes? Who told you to be that way? And that's why people don't like The Voice, because the universe must have their own version of The Voice. And that voice is the one that told them, where does that voice come from? And why does that voice feel the need to do that? And that's because at the highest levels of what we comprehend to all exist, there's something beyond that. And beyond that, we have no idea what that's like. And wherever the universe, and I know, like, when I say the universe, I'm not speaking about just our universe and then understanding that there's multiverses. I'm speaking about the whole thing, the whole shebang, all the multiverses, everything. Speaking about spirit, okay? Highest of what we know, of what we understand. The oneness of all. I'm speaking about that. Beyond that, spirit must have a whole thing that they're working within. And I think it's just something that I don't know what it is. I don't know. But where does that come from? And because it's so interesting, but it's a problem. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And like, I feel defensive. Don't you feel protective over spirit? Don't you feel protective over the universe, over our earth? Don't you want to kind of fight, like nuck if you buck? Because someone's trying to punk your mom right now. That's what it's like. That's what it's like for me. Like, it feels like someone's trying to punk my mom. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, who are you? Like, that's what it feels like. And to have that be happening to spirit, and I'm sure only because we are reflections. We are mirrors, and mirrors are warped. So of course, we'll never be able to fully understand what that really means, and how that really shows up. And it's just, I imagine it's just so complicated, but I also imagine maybe it's really not. Maybe it's really not that complicated. And maybe, but yeah, it's this self-love journey, you know, and feeling that you are worthy of protection, worthy of feeling safe, worthy of rest. The Four of Swords stays coming out. Worthy of rest and of more for yourself. And sometimes more means less, because what I've also been getting a message around recently has been getting rid of more than half of what you have, getting rid of like everything. And it's been happening in my life. Like I am getting rid of the things that I love, like clothes that and you realize you don't even really love them. And for me, I guess it's just, I'm thinking about clothes because it's the most obvious thing. Just decluttering your closet and just letting go. And I was saying in today's daily reading that I understand the minimalism, girls. I get it, because it's like totally freeing. It's totally freeing. I love it. And it's funny because in that light, in that emptiness, in that lightness, you become empty. And what is darkness also all about? Emptiness. But emptiness is so full. It's so filling when it's balanced with light. Because when you're light, you're empty. And that gives you fullness. And that fullness is darkness. It's, you know what I mean? It's like when it's inside and inside and inside, it's like a babushka when it's, you know, and it's stacked to create something so beautiful and so whole. And there's no shame around the way that they all work and exist together and coexist. And it creates this incredible, beautiful balance. It's magic. It's pure magic. And so to think that somebody's trying to punk my mom, my universe, my spirit, the one that's been able to create concepts like these and this kind of inner working and all of these magical things and all these magical beings and magical places and ideas and imaginations, and like all from nothingness, the greatest ancestor, how dare you? But what is that? Because I want to know. Because one thing about me, I will go to fight. At this point, I'm ready. I'm ready. It is what it is. Balls to the walls. Like, that's why I'm ready to go to court. Because it's like, we have to do what we have to do. We have to do what we have to do. And for me, on like this earth, I'm like, I don't really see the point in engaging with all of the BS that's happening, because it's just like, this is not the big problem. The big problem is, like, I just want to skip a few steps, if I'm being completely honest. I know that that's probably part of my problem, but I'm trying to skip a few steps because I'm trying to go and see what's really going on up there. And I don't want to hear, oh, it's a mirror, blah, 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 blah. If you fix this down here, you'll fix this up there. No, I need to go up there as me, as the incarnating being, and go figure out who I need to talk to. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. That's what I'm trying to figure out how to do, because I'm sure of it. And I want to do it in this lifetime. And yeah, maybe my lack of patience, that's probably part of the problem. It's probably part of the problem. But I just, you know, that fighter spirit, that fighter spirit makes me want to go to battle. Not in this lifetime. I'm not trying to start any wars on Earth. Earth needs a break. Can we just have, like, I would just love to have, like, peace on Earth. I'm one of those. I want peace on Earth. I don't want no fights. I don't want to have to do any type of fighting. I want everyone to heal. I want self-love to be reigning all around. Everyone happy, all the animals happy, all the creatures happy, all the landscapes happy. Aliens can come. We can have a good time. Like, peace on Earth. But up there, and I'm not looking for a battle in the spiritual realm either, but up there I need to talk to whoever needs to be spoken to so that our universe can get a break. And so that I can be with spirit, because I miss spirit. And I know that spirit's always with you, But, you know, you do feel the separation, don't you guys? Like, yes, you can get as close as close as close. Like, this is spirit. Everything is spirit, but it's different from being one again. And I don't know, but how I know that? Well, I know that because I remember, we all remember our greatest ancestor, nothingness. You can't forget. Embedded into your bones, embedded into everything that has ever been and ever will be, nothingness. We all remember, so we all remember what it is to be one. And that longing and that desire to be with that again is so powerful. And it's very healing, it's beautiful, and it's something I look forward to. And it can also be kind of scary. But ultimately, I don't find it scary. I find it I find it painful sometimes because I just want it. But I don't really find it scary. But yeah, it's an experience. It's something very special. I don't think about it super often, but when I do, I want it. And actually I do. It just comes through in different ways where I'm like, are you guys sure that I'm connected to you, to my spirit team? Because I'm just like, the way that I'm trying to be connected is, it's, you know, it's that ancient way, that long, long, long ago way that I don't even know how I would remember because I wasn't me, but I was just in there. It's like the womb. All the eggs you will ever have are in your womb. You were in your great, 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 great grandmother's womb. You were there. And then you got passed down to your great, 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 great grandmother's womb. Then you got passed on to your great, great, great grandmother's womb. Then you got passed on to your great, great grandmother's womb. Then you got passed on to your great grandmother's womb. Then you got passed on to your grandmother's womb. Then you got passed on to your mom's womb. And then you were born. Like, how special. What a gift. What a gift. Like, what a gift. It's so crazy. It's such an incredible, incredible, incredible gift. And you, like, it's mesmerizing. It's pure magic. It's pure magic. It's pure magic. And I'm so, like, it's hard. It's hard not to be in awe. And I understand why the haters hate, because could you imagine, like, undeniable magic, undeniable incredibleness? Like, what kind of concept is that? And it's true. Like, science can't even deny it. Or maybe they have, I don't know. I don't look into that. I don't care what they say. But I love science. I just don't like science that tries to make spiritual people feel stupid, because it's like, science is spirituality too. Everything is. But yeah, like, what? You're telling me that I was in my great, 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 great. Like, yeah, you were. You specifically. It's beautiful. It's so magical. It's so incredible. I feel really happy to be a woman because I'm really happy to get to experience this. It's a gift. It's a pure, pure gift. And that doesn't mean that you need to feel pressure to have kids or whatever. That's the joy of being an incarnating being. Free will. If you don't want to spread any more of those eggs, keep them. That's totally fine. Especially if you have siblings, because then your eggs are going to go on to something else. Or maybe it ends with you. Is what it is, man. You make the overarching decision. Do what you want. Like, that's the whole point. That's like the shame, because it's so important that we have women that are like, I don't want kids and I'm not having kids, because those women are the energy that spirit needs to be able to say, I don't want any more of y'all going to incarnate. I don't